Peace and blessings, family. This is your boy Gerald. It is Monday, the 2nd of January, 2018. How are you doing? I hope that you had a memorable New Year's. I hope that your holiday season was memorable. I know some of you are like, just like myself, still ain't took that tree down. You gotta get rid of that tree, y'all. You gotta get rid of it. I'm still right now looking at my Christmas tree. Still got my stuff up. Still got my tree. Tree still up. Still up. So I'll be getting rid of that this week. But right now, here in Virginia Beach, it is 19 degrees, family. It's cold. It is cold. That's why I am layered. Had the fireplace going last night. Burned up a bunch of firewood, but I made sure that when I moved into this place, into this home, September, started the process, gathering my firewood, because I knew that just as it's cold, maybe wherever you are, this is the process that is required to bring us one step closer to spring and summer. Because if you blink twice, family, if you blink twice, you're one step closer. But this is about the process. And I'm putting this out today because, I have been very active on YouTube these last week or so. I even put something out uh, talking about 2018. Uh, Actually, New Year's Eve while I was at work, real brief, and how I reflected it uh, yesterday. Was it yesterday? Well, New Year's Day, shortly after the stroke of midnight. I put it out. And now that you're in a new week, a new year, I wanted to put this out for validation to the intended heart, intended mind, intended spirit. Because right off the bat, I want to make sure that you have the right perspective. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. You have to do the work. But trust and believe as I convey this, all that you will see this year, all that will be presented to you this year, all that will take place indirectly, it is divinely meant. It's divinely meant to occur. And I say this for those that, number one, you might not be in that place emotionally where vulnerability to yourself has not been achieved. That place where you feel truly emotionally safe. Or you might be in that place where happiness is just an afterthought, a memory. Let me tell you something. Like it or not, 2018 is that reset year. It is the validation that you already know inside you, that longing of what's to come. But before anything can take place, you have to acknowledge wherever you are right now at this moment in your life. You got to take stock of that. Now, once you decide to take stock of what is your reality, guess what? Half the work is already done. Because at that point, you can connect to yourself. But here's a trade-off. Some things you can't wing. Some things you can't go half throttle. Some things you can't put your little toe in and say, well, I'll just slide into that slowly. Because 2018 is not going to let you do it. What's going to happen prolifically, just as God had said to man, those who are last shall be made first. And those who are first are going to be made last. This is not out of punishment, family. This is out of divine preparation. And bottom line, it is going to be, in other words, real, recognized real. So let me go ahead and throw this out there for someone. If you think that you're going to navigate 2018 with the mentality that you've had in 2017, you've already set yourself up for unnecessary challenges. That is not going to work. That is part of your history. And that will be a reference point from not only what makes up your intellect, but it also will validate your direction or lack thereof. And I say this with compassion. I say this with unconditional empathy. How many of you woke up today and you feel a little agitated? You feel a little disgruntled. Some of you won't even admit it to yourself, but you're trying real hard to not show that you're in your feelings because of how the holidays played out, how your New Year's and what it showed you. If this is you, this message, I hope you will take near and dear. The reason I'm saying this is, for some of y'all, Christmas, even if you go back to the leading into the holidays, as far as Thanksgiving, who am I talking to? But definitely New Year's, there was a lot of realizations that occurred. A lot of you, unfortunately, had to literally kind of bite the side of your mouth because there was constant disappointments that were occurring. But those are perceptions of disappointment. Actually, what was being revealed to you was validation of your self-worth, validation of what you bring to the table, validation of the importance, but yet how those who may be connected to you prioritize your placement in their lives. Who am I talking to? Some of y'all got really disappointed these during this holiday break because you just knew that that person that has access to your life, they were going to be right there with you, and they weren't. For some, it felt like you were at a point that you thought you was going to have to put a APB or a missing persons decree out because 1 minute they were there and 1 minute they just disappeared. That's not your punishment. That is your validation. Who am I talking to? I'm saying this to some of y'all because right now you're in your feelings and you shouldn't do that. You need to look at this from a logical standpoint. Because I even tried to convey to some of y'all to be very leery of those people that have access to your life because you don't know that these people may have a underlining agenda. I'll be more specific. You realize how many people broke up on New Year's? You realize how many arguments occurred before Christmas? Do you not see the coincidence in that? You don't see it? But you feel it though, now don't you? Because it's all spiritual, family. It's always been and always will be because you are a spiritual being. I say this because that may be an area where you need to maybe focus on correcting. This does not give you a pass to act less than. It does not give you carte blanche to have a disposition of bitterness. It does not give you justification to have a spiteful spirit. No. What it is giving you validation that not only does God have something better for you, but now's the time that you step forth because the preparation that was required had to take place. You got to understand, at the end of the day, it's your legacy, it's your story. But what is evident is not everybody will earn the right to know it. Just as I've also echoed, not everybody has the right to know your dreams or hear you breathe. Not everybody is supposed to align themselves with you. Some people will choose to be cerebral about that just to keep you distracted from your direction. Why? Because misery loves company. You don't believe me? Why is it that a great percentage of you found yourselves in arguments on the days that should have been sacred? Why is that? Truth being told, the people that were in your midst didn't like the fact that you were happy. And they wanted to bring down the environment. They wanted to have some confusion going on because that's how they thrive. Also, that's an indirect way of attracting attention, maybe attention that they had longed for quite some time, but because of the fact that they lack communicational skills, and because that is apparent, there is no dialogue. See, we can easily make excuses for the things that are that we lack. We can even make excuses for the things that the people that we are connected to fail to do, even though you've had that conversation countless time again and over and over and over again. When you gonna get off that emotional roller coaster? How many times do you have to go through the evolution and go through the gauntlet only to attract the same outcome? Who am I talking to? Listen, at the end of the day, God gives you two spiritual gifts. They were given the moment you took your first breath. One, the gift to unconditionally love yourself. Did you hear me? Love you. Love. Until you make a true commitment to loving yourself, You will have a nomadic outcome. That's why you hear so many people talking about, I'm going to go find me a female. I'm going to go find me a male. I'm going to find Mrs. Right. I'm going to find Mr. Right, only to attract the same state of mind. And the lesson of that is a depletion of resources, a depletion of emotional stability. That's why a lot of you are walking around in denial and you feel that you're numb. Even have convinced yourself that you are not worthy of being loved. Have convinced yourself, and maybe that, well, that's the reason why I stay high, Gerald. I stay high because the pain is too great. The pain is only evident because you refuse to love yourself. You refuse to see how beautiful you really are. And if this was not apparent, why do you think these people saw access to your life to begin with? You had to have something going for you. But if you demarginalize your life to simply, well, I do have this voluptuous derriere and I got this cleavage, or, well, I got this nice car and, I like, I keep money on me. If you demarginalize yourself to the point of what is deemed value outside of what you lay your head, instead of what was found within you the whole time, the things that make you you, because you will never be able to find or embrace your future, your destiny, if you're constantly investing in yourself trying to be like them. So doesn't it make sense that every time you take it upon yourself to go seek out, I'm gonna go get me a man, girl, but you only attract Mr. Right Now, not Mr. Forever. Because see, Mr. Forever sees the value of his life. He don't need you to complete it. He takes on the responsibility of what's needed to define not only his last name, but the protection of his heritage, of the people that will come behind him. You know, the people that he will never know on this earthly realm, because we're only borrowed time. We never control time. So it's very important that we learn to master time management. Who am I talking to? If you're thinking that what will help you in pretty much casting a spell of illusion by what's found in your closet, or the quick wit that you can fall from your mouth, and that's going to sustain you down the road, all that does is set you up for future disappointment. And I'm not saying this to be condescending. I'm saying this because you deserve to be happy. Realize how many people don't even see the value of being happy, but yet these are also the same people that won't admit they're terrified to be alone. Who am I talking to? Terrified to get in that bed because the other side of the bed is cold. But if you just take stock on what is evident, if you just try and give just 1% effort to do something different than what you did before, don't you realize that brings you one step closer to what you long for but needed all along? Not everybody's supposed to have access to your life, queen. yes, I understand, King. It's we are living in a world where the population is slowly but surely dwindling, and we're seeing a resurgence of people not having the ability to reproduce. We don't why they don't talk about that, do they? You realize how many women are walking around this planet barren? Hmm? But that was also spoken in the Bible too about the barren woman. Everything that you need for your life is found in that book. It doesn't even matter. And let me throw this out there for someone because we're putting too much effort, labels, and restrictions off of things that hold no weight. When it comes to your spirituality and when it comes to religion, what matters most is that you have a connection to God. It doesn't matter what road you come from, what your upbringing is. It does not matter. It matters that you believe. We have so many dogmas, and then you add the distractions of life. You add choices that we make that are spawned from emotional reactions. Let me throw this out there for somebody, because you actually think that you're gonna be by yourself forever. You may be in a place where it's just you. But guess what? You might not realize this now, but this time where you're by yourself, when the phone ain't ringing, ain't nobody checking for you, because I gotta reach for somebody. This moment where you feel that, well, this is just gonna be what it is. This is actually the most blessed time of your life because you should be focusing on yourself. This is There are certain times in your life that you will be afforded where it's just going to be you. And maybe that's the moment that you may perceive it as, well, I'm just a face in the crowd by myself. Yeah. And you actually convince yourself and you feel a certain kind of way because you see people holding hands or you see people being affectionate and you have the audacity to turn your nose up because you think that they are over the doing too much. But let me tell you something. I can give you a percentage of validation of that thought to a degree. Because one thing is for sure. If those people that you see before you don't have a spiritual connection with God within themselves first, what they're doing, they're wasting their time anyway. And it will come to pass that they will fall. They will fall. I mean, not literally fall to their death. I mean, the relationship of what brought them together. Some people come together by circumstance, and then they mask it with a mentality of, well, you know what? I got drama. I got things going on. You do too. So we gonna ride or die. Let me tell you what. That is the biggest cop out you could ever afford yourself. Because let me tell you something. If the person is not willing to invest in themselves, they're never going to invest in you. They're going to deplete you. I don't care. You could be the most beautiful person on this planet and still feel void, still feel hollow. You know why? Because everybody that pretty much put you on that pedestal convinced you not to love yourself. But the question should be asked is this: why did they initially put you there? What was the reason for it all? Because the number one thing when it comes to manipulation is separation. Who am I talking to? But before a person can yield that control, for that to be embraced, the other person has to accept that, which means that was already a belief system in them prior. So guess what? All that did was that was nothing but concession that was already thought about beforehand. Because see, nobody can do to you what you won't allow. Can't. That's no different than trying to unlearn something. It's not possible. It just depends on the denial of what has been revealed. Now, let me turn this corner because I'm not going to make this seem bleak. Let me tell y'all something. Some of y'all are getting ready to feel like you've been shot out of a cannon because everything about your life is about to change. And that's a good thing. Because what is going to happen is everything that did not have validity will be broken from you, either from a positive effect or a negative. The negative is you may think this is your lowest low. But guess what? We also know that is rock bottom. But do you know one thing that's really prolific about when a person hits their rock bottom? You have an opportunity to stand the hell up. You have an opportunity to take stock on what is evident, what is real. What is real is this: everybody that was with you, the ones that did not have your best interest, they ain't there. They ain't there. And the reason for it is because now you are being afforded to see from their perspective not only how they saw you, but what was deemed a priority of your time. You think it's coincidental that every time you pick the phone up, you can never get them, but then a delay later, there's a text message. Let me tell you something, and let me throw this out there for somebody because you may not realize, but you may have conditioned yourself in this behavior pattern where it is more easier for you to send a text out than a conversation. Well, let me ask you this: what's the point on having that tool called a cell phone if you don't talk in it? I'll do one better. It's communicating with you only through those those QWERTY keyboard, those beautiful alphabets, and won't give you time of day, and always are giving you excuses. Well, well, I'm busy at work. I can't do that. Let me tell you why they're doing that. Oh, I'm gonna tell on somebody. They're doing that because the fact that number one, they will not admit to you that whatever that bond is worth keeping it fresh. And they don't have the nerve to tell you that they don't want to waste their time talking to you. Also, That also can be the fact that if only conversations done via text, it's because they're thinking of how to respond or basically keep you at bay, which tells you that's an integrity issue too. Because if they had value, if your connection to them meant something, you telling me you can't give me at least 5 seconds to hear your voice? Who am I talking to? So if your connections are simply that, it is about control. And usually the people that use these tactics don't have self-control in their lives. Who am I talking to? Some of y'all, and I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Some of y'all are about to make a very bad mistake too, because you're going to start your week off with a chip on your shoulder. You feel in a certain kind of way because Sarah or Bobby didn't call you at the time of moment like they said they were going to, or they didn't deliver what they said they were going to deliver. And you feel that's the right thing to do, to have this negative energy over your spirit. No, they did you a favor because they didn't earn the right to have your time. But if you take that attitude, or what you perceive as a way to navigate 2018 like you did 2017, you're also continuing the cycle that is keeping you from what you long for all along. You tired of being shortchanged? You tired of people not doing what they need to do? You tired of feeling like you're being deceived? All that starts within yourself. So if you're tired of people lying to you, stop lying to yourself. If you're tired of the fact that relationships that you got are not fruitful, they don't feel like relationships, they found like they just are entertainment. How can you find value in entertainment? Entertainment is temporary. You can't live your life like it's on the playground. But here's the thing, because I would be remiss not to speak on this. Some of y'all are going to feel a certain kind of way because of what's getting ready to go on and play out this week. Some of y'all going to get them bills. Because guess what? It's first of the month, family. Rent, mortgage, utilities, car notes. They got to get paid. And the person on the other side, no matter how far you try to put them at bay, keep in mind, they doing their job. They doing their job too. But here's the question on that. When you see that itemized statement, when you see that bill, ask yourself this. The person that was the recipient of that bill, did they deserve it? I can hear a bunch of y'all saying, nope, nope. Then I can hear people say this, well, you didn't have to give me that. You didn't have to do that. Well, guess what? You didn't have to accept it. But you did. So, kind of hypocritical. But the people that genuinely have your best interest, because there's always a bright side. There's always a bright side to life. You're going to know it. Some of y'all already knew this, but your pride kept you at bay. You know what's going to happen? if you don't, if you don't, if you don't change that up, people that refuse to make those shifts, what's going to happen is you're going to have countless examples on why you should have. It's kind of like feeling like being a person in a room full of people. You can't relate, but you want to be a part of. The good thing is your time will come. It will. But it will not come until you decide to go within yourself. And keep this in mind. You got some people already then broke their New Year's resolution. Well, guess what? Maybe the greatest resolution that you should make is to be honest to yourself. Maybe the second resolution that you should try to make to hold is to continue to try. No matter how many times you fall down, get the hell up. Get up. Don't worry about what a perception is, how they feel, what they saying about. Who cares about that? Because guess what's going to happen? If you continue to get up, you also see how strong you were the whole time. And then eventually, if it's divinely meant, those same people that were doing this, you may be the inspiration that they do the same. The respect is going to be there. And then you're going to have some people that flat out, never had your best interest. You need to come to accept that too. Come to terms with that. I know some of y'all are like, well, I wish I could, Gerald, but I got kids by him. I got kids by this person. And that's just who it is. And, you know, he sucks. Well, guess what? That doesn't mean that you can't be the best mom or the best dad. And it also doesn't mean that people can't change. But what is evident is that is who they are. Now you can turn around and allow them to steal your joy, or you can personify it and be the best you. And that's one thing I've come to know. Pain cannot exist where love is. So watch your loved one on you. So they ain't calling you no more. Y'all done slept together a couple times. Now they ain't dipped like a thief in it. Good. Good. Great. They didn't deserve to be a part of your life. Learn from it. I say this to you, queens and kings, but queens especially. I always tell you, stop looking for your man, prepare for him. Stop trying to act like you off of a reality show, because that ain't reality. All that does is promote being promiscuous, as well as the roadmap to destroy yourself. That's why they drink so much. That's why they sleep around so much. That's why you're always seeing them fighting. You know why they're fighting and acting out? Because they have no self-control, because they have no self-worth, because they don't have knowledge of self. That's why they do that. But guess what? The closer you are to God, the more protected you are from them. And don't worry, you're going to see them again. They're tied to your spirit. And what is always evident is this. People come in your life to be one or two things. They're your lesson or your blessing. And you may be in a season where this is about the lesson. Get the pride out your spirit. Take in and take stock of what's being shown. And guess what? That experience may also purge what fear had also inundated inside yourself. But maybe that will also give you the opportunity to put that connection back to that little boy and that little girl that still lives in you today. You still think because you in your 60s, you ain't got no more life? Maybe your best days are ahead of you if you just get rid of what was holding you back the whole time. Your perception of how you see the world and the fear of changing. 2018 is the validation year, family. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to allow your rightful placement. Some of y'all, you're going to take that stuff out your hair. You're going to take that stuff off your body. You're going to actually go organic, or you're going to get back to one. I commend you on that. And who knows? And I say that, who knows? That may be the task that was required to put you on that journey that's going to unlock the other side of your life. Your greatest years are ahead of you, but you got to be prepared for them. That's why God doesn't give you your blessings when you want them. It's always validated when you need them. And guess what's not there? The people that did not see the appreciation of you. Why? Because you're priceless. And one last thing. For those people that think, I'm just dumb, I'm just stupid, I can't get right. Let me tell you something. You need to let go of that defeatist attitude. I don't care if you may have been reared in an environment that's all that was the dialogue that came from your mother or your dad or whoever that had the influence in your life. Stop dumbing down. Stop it. And if you didn't believe that that was the case from a social narrative, you know what's going on right now. They just legalized marijuana in California, right? To each his own. But I think it's kind of coincidental though, because you have some people who want to keep you distracted. They don't want you to use your brain, because the more you use your brain, the more of a threat you are. Some people can't afford that. They don't want that. They want to keep you controlled, keep you distracted. But that can all go away when you start and truly embrace the real you by loving yourself first. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Listen, if you spent last night crying yourself to sleep, allow that smile to come out today, because let that be the emotional tombstone for every distraction beforehand. Purge that emotion out. Do not harbor it. Take stock of what is evident today. If they're not in your life to help you grow, be the better person. Claim yourself so you can grow. Be blessed.